Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be working on this. And this is my very first time using pan pastels, and once you see it, you're really gonna know it. We're gonna start with 7x7 Multifarious Lavinia cardstock. And we are using the 4-inch gelli press in the circle. And I am using old-fashioned protractor to cut me out a mask. I don't have a die, but I did want to show you, right here I'm saying wait, I want to show you how I store mine. I have heard several people say that they can't cut their pretty papers or they miss their favorite paper. This is what I've done with some of mine. I cut the 2 pieces of paper and I put a magnet in there. That's why it's sticking. And then I laminate it, pop a hole in the top, and then that's how I store them. So then my pretty paper is forever and I get to see it. And as you can see, these are the sets that I have, the infinity dies. I don't have the circle. That's why I used good old protractor. So here I am taking my T-ruler and trying to decide where I want my horizon line. This is removable adhesive, so I can stick that down and remove it later. Now, this would have been made easier with some drawing gum. You just paint that on there and let it dry, and then you use an eraser and rub that right off. That would have been nice to have, but I have it in the cart on Amazon. I haven't purchased it yet. Decided I'm going to stick it right there, and we're going to draw a line for the horizon line. And look at all its beauty. I got this for Valentine's Day from my boyfriend. I was so excited and a little intimidated because I've never ever used them. I was a little nervous about using them. These are an assortment pack that I bought of the soft tools that you use with pan pastels. There's all kinds of different shapes and sizes, and then you have these like palette knives with the ends that you change. Now, I didn't know that it came with 2 of these tools, so I have a couple extra. I have watched many videos before I ever attempted to touch these pan pastels. Like I said, I was intimidated, and when I first start putting it on here, I look like a kid with a Crayola for the first time. And I'm putting way too much on there. It's dusty because you're not supposed to have dust. And also, I'm putting it all on the mat because I'm like, it's just pan pastels. It'll come right off. It erases off of paper. Yeah, it didn't all come off my mat. So, FYI, if you're new, glass is better. I am putting down the white first because in one of the videos I watched, it says it's better to put if you're trying to lighten a color, and you know, I only have 20 colors, so I don't really have pastels. It says to put the white down first and then put your color on top of it to get a lighter shade. If you put the white on top, it's chalky looking, and it did look chalky in the video. There was a big difference. See how I'm putting it on? It's so streaky, and I'm kind of all over the place. It's a little bit of a hot mess, but it works out. I get a better hang of it as I go. They're so easy to use, and they blend so nicely. And you simply just wipe it off on the paper towel, and the color does come off. It doesn't look like it comes off. It still stays colors, and they're already muddy looking, and you can't get it out. It says you can wash them, but it breaks down the soft tools, and then they're kind of not the same. But it's going to be a struggle for me using those with them being all mucked up. I'm just going to have to cope. So this here, I wanted the next color to be a creamy peachy yellow color. And I got this from a tutorial, mix your color I shouldn't have pushed it in there. And I redo it because I pushed it into the tool too much, the spongy. So I redo it, and it does really well to mix your colors, since, you know, I don't have more, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to buy more. I love these things. I can see me using these a lot. And the color goes down so easy. I'm really surprised at how easy they blend. I am a bit in love with the pan pastels. You have to put very, very little on your spot. See, I only touched the white once. That's because I had dust everywhere when I was wiping away earlier. And I decided to go back over it with the white because I wanted the colors to blend together a little better. I'm fine with the white over it. It does make it look chalky though. So I decided I wanted some dark blue at the top. And I don't have a dark blue. So we are just mixing the colors right on the paper, and it does fine too if you want to do it that way. And of course the black that I get all over my mat up there, yeah, it did not come off. I wished now that I'm trying to pick the color up off of the mat. I wished I had made that a little darker. But that's hindsight. That's okay. We end up stamping over it anyway. And I also learned, you know, I learned a lot, this being the very first time I've ever used them. You can stamp so easy over these. You don't have to do anything special. And later on in the video, you'll see where I made a couple boo-boos, but it's okay. They're happy mistakes. Here I'm adding white. This is going to be a moon. So I'm adding kind of white around it to make it look like it's glowing. And with these pan pastels, you do build up the color. You know, you start with the base, and the more you add, the more it blends and the better it looks. And see, if I'd used the gum, I wouldn't have had that. And I had something black on my, this is adhesive remover, and it was rubbing off on the paper. So that's why if I had the gum, the drawing gum, then I wouldn't have had to messed with that. But I'm just rubbing the little dots of sticky off. And I get the kneaded eraser out, and that's when I can get all this off, because you can erase pan pastels, which is fabulous. They do smear though. You get them on your finger, and you know the finished project has fingerprints in it, which they're not terrible. They kind of blend in a little bit, but I did have to stop and spray a couple different times with matte adhesive or matte fixative so that I would keep my grubby little fingerprints out of it. Okay, so right here you see the paint right there. And ta-da! The moon's already done. I boo-booed and I forgot to hit record. So all I did was I took the Whisper White and I put it on the jelly plate, the 4-inch that we were going to use, and then I splattered it with the black Brusho watercolor, flicked it onto the jelly plate, and then put it down into the circle that we had matted off. So that was my boo-boo, but this was the finished product. You've seen me do it before. So I am going to remark where the horizon line is, and in hindsight, I should have masked off the bottom of the circle, because I had to add extra layers to hide the dots in the water. But that's okay. Like I said, lots of firsts in this one. So you learn and you just get better from making mistakes. So I'm adding in some yellow to our moon. and this is the Versafine Clear. I will list the products down in the description. And then this is the basic gray Stampin' Up! Ink, and I'm using a stencil brush to kind of put in where the dark spots would be in the moon. And my poor stencil brushes, some of these are older and the bristles are starting to fall out. I have purchased some new ones now since I videoed this, but that little one that you see off to the left, I'm struggling to find one that small. The new set doesn't have one that small, and I really like that little one. So I get all the gray in there, and I come in with the black soot and kind of put a little highlight in there. Well, it wouldn't be highlights, it would be shadows, silly. Just to darken it up just a little bit more. So here I come in with some stick white and light yellow pastels to go around. I didn't feel like it was very glowy. And we are going to start off, this is our willow. And I'm getting just an acrylic block to put these down with. Now, you can see on there, I started a white outline on the moon. And I later realized that was in the way of stamping. We're going to use our tree goddess Luna. I really wish some of these stamps came off of the right side of the page. Use the stars and the dragonfly. I'm going ahead and getting all the stamps out ahead of time. This is where I realize I have put that white down right there where I'm going to stamp black. And this is the Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White. Well, it is white, and it is the whitest of the white. I love this stuff. And what's that? Oh, look, it comes off. If you take the tip of your X-Acto knife, it will scratch away. Now, it does rough the paper up a little bit, but it's better than having a big white line down through my fairy. Like I said, we had some boo-boos. We fix it. So we're going to stamp her with Versafine Clear Nocturne. I've got to get a re-inker for this poor ink pad. It's a workhorse in my craft room. Every time I get ready to stamp, I want to say, I'm just going to pull that down. I watch a lot of Tracy's videos with Lavinia, and she's always saying, pull that down. So this is a little tool, Master's Touch. It's in the painting section at Hobby Lobby. You get a variety pack of them. There's like 4 in the package. And it has a little rubber tip. And I have found it's really nice for filling in when you have mist spots instead of a paintbrush. So I just dry that ink real good. And we are going to come in with our willow pieces. Using our Versafine Clear. And we are going to start up at the top. And the name of that color, Rainforest, that's the name of the color. That's what I start with. And we are going to stamp first and second generation across the top. And some third. Now we're going to switch over to Shady Lane, and then we go in with Morning Mist, and I'm just drying that off. Got all those done across the top. Now I'm going to use the paper to mask off the bottom, and we are going in with Twilight at the bottom to start our horizon. So I just did the corners here, and I use a piece of paper to kind of block it off, like where the moonlight would be coming across the water. But if you notice, boo-boo number, I don't know how many, I didn't start at the outside edges of the moon. It seems a bit off. And I have yet to realize it. I come in though and we fix it. There's always a way to fix your boo-boo. Most generally. We're going to use the bulrushes or cattails. Now, this is where I learned that you can stamp right over those pan pastels just fine. This actually took me a whole lot more time to do because I ended up having to go back over with a fine liner and darkening these back up because I did the water in pan pastels. I just did the blue in the twilight because I wanted it really dark, and I didn't think I'd be able to achieve that dark with the pan pastels since I don't have that dark of a pan pastel. I thought it would just be quicker to start it with the ink. But, like I said, you can fix it. Sometimes the mistakes end up being the way you learn from your mistakes, and two, sometimes your mistakes turn out looking really good. So I am using Silver Brilliance ink here for my stars, and this ink isn't real bright. It's more of like a wink of Stella kind of. It adds a shimmer when the light hits it just right. I really like it because I didn't want them to, super stand out. Now, if any of you have noticed, this background kind of looks familiar. I was really wanting to find something easy to do background-wise to start my pan pastels. And I got this idea from background paper that I seen Nancy use on her YouTube channel. So I got the idea from background printed paper that she had used. So enough of my yakking. I stamped the dragonfly down and I erased my pencil line. Now I'm coming in to darken the center of my horizon line with pan pastels. And we are going to finish this water out with pan pastels. This is where I really realized that I really, really like these pan pastels. The more color you build, the better it looks. And all these pan pastels have names. And if you are interested in the colors that I used, I will list those in the description also. But being so new, I just now actually remembered that they actually have color names to the pan pastels. So I fill this in with the blue to kind of start with a base color. And then I love these little knives. You wouldn't think that you'd be able to get such detailed lines with these knives, but you really can. You just, apply to the edges of the knife and rub it down. So I'm putting in some dark shadows in the water. And I just continue to keep building the color. And this is where I first realized I gotta cover up them dark spots. I put in some green. I don't know why I'm fussing over wiping that off. I'm coming in with some white. I want to put the color from the sky. I build a little bit of all that color into the water. And here is where I'm trying to extend my shadow, reflection of light. By the time it's all said and done, it looks much better. Just keep playing with it. If you think you've boo-booed or you don't like what you've done, especially with pan pastels, it'll just keep building it, and you can change it to whatever you want. I'm bringing in pink. Do some purple and some pink. There's the blue. This is the brighter blue. So I took this angled soft tool and just kind of swept across it to blend the colors that I had. And now I'm coming back in and adding more highlights over the top of it. Shadow. And this kind of gives me something to follow later when I come back in with my white pen. This is a black Stampin' Write marker, and I'm filling back in her little toes there, and I darken up the horizon line. And then I come in and kind of put a little shadow in behind all the highlights that I put in. And you see the big fingerprint right there in my water. This is where I realize I'm making a mess. So I get the masking tape out so that I'm not actually touching it anymore. And that really helped. And once you spray your fixative on it, you can continue to build on your pan pastels. Just because you spray it doesn't mean you have to stop. This kind of helped break up the white line that I have in there. the heavy white line. And here's where I had to go back in and go over my cattails. And then I spray the entire thing with fixative so I don't keep making a muck with my fingers. And I come in, and these Arteza pens work really well over the top of this. I decided to go ahead and use the pens because this was a lot faster than using a tool with the Dr. Martin's Bleed Proof White. Now I'm going in and kind of highlighting in front of my little shadow marks. Letting the moonlight touch everything. And there is all the highlights done. This is the Unibal Silver Glitter Gel Pen. I love these. So I fill in her wings with the exception of the little heart shapes that's in there. And then I go in and I fill in the little heart shapes with the purple. And it's so shiny. I love these pens. So here's the colors that I chose to matte it on. I have my tape runner, and I've got these all cut down. And I know in other videos I've seen people comment, how do you matte it? So I decided to go ahead and leave this in, just in case you're curious. And I ran out of tape. That is one reason why I like using this runner, is because it's so easy just to change. And you can see the little bits of white on my black mat. I didn't dry. It's okay. I was having fun. I was so excited that my pan pastels turned out decent, because when I first started I was a little worried. But most that is all going to cover up, so I didn't stress, and I did stop and dry it afterwards. So I put down our black, and then I decided I need to darken this up a little bit. So I touched up on the horizon, and then I give it a good dry before I go pushing on it again. So we matted our purple, and then I did a light yellow, and then we did another layer of black. And then I am coming in with my stickles and giving the water a little bit of shine. I was super excited because I got to go pull my stickles out of my new little caddy that I made. If you haven't seen that video, you can check it out. I did a little woodworking project to hold all my stickles. They were stuffed in a drawer, and I wasn't using them because I didn't see them, but I'll use them now that they're out. And there is the finished product. I was pretty happy with my first attempt at pan pastels. I'm trying to pick up the shine and the stickles there. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching my video today. If you like it, give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe, and I will see you next time. And remember to share your crafty love.